Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome to Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us, 865-658-5824. Joined alongside Emilio in Tennessee. We got Tim in a snowy Green Bay, man. It sounds like you guys were expecting about 3 to 5 inches up there. Is that right, Tim?
Yeah, it's getting there. Little less than a foot on the ground already.
Yeah, I know you already sent this over earlier today. I'm just going to kind of play it in the background here. I wish we could go full screen, but boy, that's a dream come true right there, fellas. I don't know how y'all feel, but I love it. Tim's about tired of it.
Had to roll through, check on practice, make sure everything was copacetic, and yeah, man, nothing but snow plows and a little bit of Lil Wayne blasting out of the speakers over there at Clark Hinkle Field. Mm-hmm. Guys putting in work in the snow.
Tim checking on practice is him doing donuts in the parking lot across the street.
Basically, yeah. This was 5 minutes before security escorted me out of Lambeau. Yeah,
Tim hopped that green fence right there and went over with the clipboard and everything. That's what happened, really. And then, of course, you had this awesome shot here of Clark Hinkle Field, or Radiansky Field. I'm sorry, that's gorgeous, dude. I love what they did too. Like, it was explained to me, and maybe it was explained inaccurate. I don't know, Tim. You could probably attest to this, but the reason the Packers chose brick and green wrought iron is because they wanted everything to feel like a packing company type thing, right? Almost like a warehouse type feel, right? Am I thinking right?
Kind of industrial type of vibe. And you can really see that too, ever since they did the atrium and the remodeling from the very beginning, just how the whole facade of Lambeau Field kind of has that same kind of brick look. And yeah, it's beautiful in the winter though. We had that snow globe type of snow today falling over Titletown, so figured I'd stop by, check on things, play in the snow a little bit.
Exactly. We know what was really going on. I know we got Drew D in the house here. Says go Pack, go. Drew lives right there, obviously in Green Bay as well, just a short walk from Lambeau, if I remember correctly. So I'm sure he's over there. Of course, he lives in an apartment complex. That's the beautiful thing about apartment complex, right, Tim? You ain't got to worry about that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Let everybody else
have a driveway to shovel, right?
That's
you
so
just
true.
stare out the window and sip your coffee and watch them shovel it, right? So there are positives to that for sure. All right, so let's do this, guys. Let's give a quick shout out to the sponsors tonight. We're going to get into a bunch of information. I feel like we're 2 weeks behind. Obviously, we took 1 day off, and I'm just like over here, like, okay, what do we got to get caught up? But let's give a quick shout out to the good folks over at Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. Wisconsin-based since '92, specializing in Packers tickets. They are Wisconsin's largest ticket source with offices next to Lambeau and in Milwaukee. Click on the link in the video description that send you their website, theticketking.com. You can register as a customer and go ahead and start shopping for your Packers tickets. Again, that's Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. All right, boys, let's just kind of jump into it. Do you guys got anything off the top here that you'd like to hit on before we dive into some of the information we're going to cover? And we pretty much we can go a multitude of directions. I was going to go to Twitter and I was trying to keep up over the last couple of days while we were in North Carolina just to see what was going on across Packers Twitter. And boy, it got really interesting, man, there with old whiny ass Ryan Clark and Aaron Rodgers, didn't it? You guys see that?
Yeah, as much as I could tolerate. Yeah, I saw some of that.
Yeah, I didn't even finish watching Clark's his video. I watched like the first minute and a half and was like, all right, I'm gonna pass on to the next.
I did binge watch the entire Enigma documentary on Netflix though, so we did the right thing and watched all of that.
Yeah, it's really good, man. Really good.
I need to.
I love too. There's been a lot of people that have been kind of anti-Rodgers, and they're tweeting and posting about it like, "Hey, man, this dude's it's a good dude. It's a good guy."
They brought that up in Matt's presser. They were asking him because so correct me if I'm wrong, but basically they were saying that Ted had a reason in like drafting Love or something. That was like what the argument was about. And Matt was basically kind of saying, I think it's like, I don't remember saying that, but I think I was trying to get to the point of, what Ted did in drafting Rodgers was kind of the same sort of mentality of Goody drafting, Jordan, just in a different time frame, different era, all those things. but he's like, I don't know how it got edited or taken out of, how they put it into context, but that's really where he was trying to get to with it.
Yep.
It's funny how that works too. Like he literally what he was saying, and when he said it, that's the way I took it. And then you seen Twitter blow. I'm like, oh, I must have took that the wrong way. Holy cow! So they're saying that.
So that's what they were. What were they trying to say?
Yeah. So basically, the way I originally took it was Ted did the same thing. Ted Ted made the call to draft Aaron when Brett was here, right?
Okay.
Rodgers, who the only place he's going to take you to is the toilet bowl, and then you got Brett Favre, who will take you to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm just saying, we're not going to talk about it.
So the way I took it, video is such. It's like
Classic.
yeah, it's on the.
That's the one that stayed on the. That's the one that stayed in there in the category. That's the only one that stayed.
So I took it as like, right initially was like he's just kind of drawing a comparison, a parallel. Then Twitter blew up, and it was like immediately the toxic people were like, "Whoa, Goody didn't make that pit, Ted did, haha." So that's like the big golden goose of Brian Gutekunst's tenure, right? And then Matt comes out, from what I understand, and set the record straight and was like, "Yeah, I didn't mean it like that." Basically, Tim, am I off base here? Is that
No,
what happened?
that's exactly what happened. And you got a bunch of people out here obsessed with being right about everything or picking apart every story and drafting a narrative. Like, let's be honest, Ted set the standard, right? You take a quarterback when you don't need one. You draft him. You don't throw him into the fire right away. You let him sit behind a legend and develop. I mean, the formula is no secret. So I think Matt LaFleur was just, telling the truth. Yeah, of course Ted Thompson had a hand in it because Goody was his understudy, and of course Goody's going to take this to the next level as we go into the future, and that's why he's in the position that he's in. So I think people just kind of, took it and ran with it. A little bit of an overreaction, I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. All right, cool. So we got that covered. Again, that may come back up here in a little bit on Twitter. But let's see what Drew D says here. He says, that's right, man. I swear it doesn't matter how many times I adjust this. Tim's face is always cut up.
That's all right.
I don't know what to do.
You're not missing anything.
This is unbelievable. Like, seriously, man, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm so tired of changing it.
There you go.
Here's a guy.
We'll just cover up Amelia. That'd be fine. Drew D says, that's right, Clayton. I live in an apartment. So the closest I come to shoveling is my dog, Loki, watching the snow plows out the window. That's what I'm talking about. That's the high life right there.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff, buddy. So all right. So again, that whole conversation might get brought up when we walk through Twitter here in a second and look at all the Packers news that's hit the last few days. But let's get on to the Patreon group here. This is Patreon question of the day from Nick McSwain. Said, I heard on a podcast, Blue 58. He's usually very on point. Really good podcast.
Yeah, love that. I listened to this one. So
yeah. That Quay's fifth-year option would be $15 million, of course, fully guaranteed, and Wyatt's would be $13 million, fully guaranteed. I know this was talked about recently, but the numbers weren't mentioned. Do you all think they pick up either of these or pick either of these up? Sorry. They both seem like a big overpay. This is exactly what we were talking about. And we did not mention, you're right, Nick, we didn't mention the specific numbers. I'm sure they were on SpoTrack. We could have looked it up. But for me, I would not be interested in those two salaries right there, right? And again, it's fully guaranteed. Now, what we did learn through the Darnell Savage one, if I remember correctly, first time I'd ever seen this done on the Packers roster, and I'm sure it's happened across the league in other senses, they were able to tack on voidable years and spread that out, right? But for me, it's too steep of a price tag, but that's just my opinion. Let's go around the horn here with it. Tim, what do you think? Would you be willing to pay $15 million for Quay for 1 year, fully guaranteed, or $13 million for Devontae Wyatt, fully guaranteed for 1 year?
Quay is my dude, right? But, he's in a walking boot right now. So I don't know about a bunch of guaranteed money just yet. And I do agree. It seems a bit steep, a little bit high. Both of these numbers, actually. I guess if you had to pick one, it's crazy as it sounds, I'd probably pay Devontae Wyatt. And see what we can do, maybe restructuring Quay or getting him to sign something different. I think they're both definitely a little steep. Seems a little high.
Yeah. Emilio, what about you, buddy?
yeah, so when I was listening to it, John was saying that he would pick up Wyatt's 13 and he wouldn't touch Quay's. He's not like a number one, but even still, that 13 is fully guaranteed to Wyatt. I get that we're trying to hold the floor, of our D line, but I'm not mad about where Carl Brooks is at, and I'm not mad about the few opportunities Wooden's getting. It's tough. We didn't take Stokes, cool. Quays, I don't think we can take. Wyatt would be the one that I still would probably lean no on at the moment. It's just because we have to make a decision by next year, right? Before the start of next year.
Yep.
So
actually, no. It's when is it you got to pick it up? I think it's this off season. Like it's
like April or like before the draft or something.
Really early. We need to look. I guarantee you, Drew can find it really, really quick. Drew, if you don't care, man, look up that date. The best way to find it is when did we sign Darnell Savage's 5th-year option? Right. That would be the more recent one. So it should be right, give a week or two.
And look at it like that. We signed Darnell Savage. What did we like about him? His athleticism, his ability to play. He was decent, I guess, off the start, and we thought that we could make something with it. That would lean more towards, Wyatt. But Quay, literally, when Matt was talking about Quay today and how, Edgerrin Cooper, obviously down the road, we want him to be interchangeable at Mike and stuff. But right now, Coop is not ready to handle the dot. That's just not going to happen right now. And that's nothing against Coop. And they were asking, why didn't he play? We got to get him out there more. But Quay has been handling this defense. That would be the only look at the problem is the 15. Like if it wasn't fully guaranteed and it was like a 2-year deal at 15, all right, maybe let's work that. But I think that's the issue.
Got it. Drew D says May 2nd, I believe. That was around the time that I was thinking too. So it's like you've got to be prepared to make that decision right before the draft, really, because you don't know how the draft's going to fall, right? And then, like, let's say you go in going, okay, we may hit Devontae Wyatt with the 5th-year option, right? But then the draft falls perfectly in your lap, and you get a good 3 tech, and you're like, hey, this dude right here, he's going to be the future of our defensive line. Then maybe you don't pick it up, right? Mm-hmm. So it's right around that time post draft. I was thinking it was like I knew it wasn't June, but I was kind of thinking it might be before the draft, but it sounds like it's probably right after the draft.
Right. But yeah, no, I definitely, that's just not something that we need to dive right into. It's not if we want to spend that kind of money, let's look in free agency if there's someone coming over. That's something we could look at. I like Chris's point here. That's where, we're getting to is I'd rather do a multi-year extension with both than pay that huge number. And I think that's where Goody leans to most of the time anyway. Let's get that contract done and getting in front of them before we move on. This would be the year we'd be talking about Christian Watson's 5th-year extension or 5th-year option. Would that be something right now? Say we did end up picking him up in the first, right? Clay Tim, would that be one you pick up right now if he was at the 13 or 15? Say he's at 14 million. Would you pick him up?
You talking about Christian Watson?
Yeah.
It's tough, man. I hate the 5th-year option. I despise it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why do we? And we're not. It's just I feel like it's a niche thing where you need to use it.
Right. To me, it's the only time I'm on board with using the 5th-year option, and it's obvious I'm in the extreme minority because teams use it all the time. Is if you got a guy that's just an absolute freaking superstar. Imagine T.J. Watt, and it's like, damn, he's going to break the bank. His cap number with a new extension would probably be more than the 5th-year option. Let's hit the 5th-year option, right? That's the reason the Savage thing is just like, I know we talked about it a lot, Tim, but it's just mind-boggling.
Yeah, that defies logic. I still don't get it.
Yeah, for sure. So, again, as far as the multi-year extension, if it's a team-friendly deal, absolutely. I'm not saying here. Now, here's the other thing. You got to step back and put yourself in the player's position, right? How are they looking at that? If you come at them for a multi-year extension, and let's say you go to, let's just say it's Quay, right? He's looking at a 1-year, $15 million 5th-year option.
Right.
And you come to him and say, hey, man, we'll give you $15 million fully guaranteed, 3-year deal worth, let's just say 3 years, $15 million. You're still getting your $15 million, but it's over the course of 3 years. He's going to go, I'm hitting free agency.
Right.
You can pay me the $15 million or I'm testing free agency, right? So what'll probably happen is they'll probably give the 5th-year option to both of these guys. I'm just being real. If it were me, I would let them both test free agency because Wyatt has not shown enough in the running game, in my opinion, to pay him top 5 defensive tackle money. And, he's the one who makes the most sense of the two. If you're making me choose one, it's definitely Wyatt over Quay at $13 million because those interior defensive linemen are getting paid a ton of money. Linebackers, they don't get me wrong, the Fred Warners, those guys, they get paid good money. but nothing like those defensive tackles. Hopefully that makes sense. But anything else you guys want to hit on there? Another angle you want to look at it or no?
No, I don't think so, because I mean we have depth kind of coming into both of those, so I'm not really mad at where it's sitting. At least they've backfilled it.
Definitely. Okay. Al, okay. I hope I said that right. Says, you son of a guns have become my favorites. Hey, we appreciate that, man. I feel bad for you that we're your favorite, but because this show sucks. But thank you so much for the kind words, and we appreciate you being a part of what we're doing here, man, for sure. Let's see here. Chris Ian says, I bet you Dome Donuts, Clayton Goop doesn't give the 5th year to either of. Really? Okay. Let's do it. A dozen of donuts. All right, Chris.
Okay. What kind of Krispy Kreme? What are we talking here? Dunk like
all day long.
Yeah. Okay. Phew.
Yeah. Tim, what's your favorite donut? Man, you look like a man that eats a lot of donuts.
I'm down with anything that doesn't have filling. I'm not a big filling.
Jelly donuts.
No jelly donut. Nah, not my steez. Give me a good old like cake donut. I like those. Or just give me the glazed with the sprinkles or something.
There you go.
Keep it simple. Keep it classy.
Yeah.
See, I like the cream fill. I'm a chocolate covered cream fill for me, man.
Go ahead.
No, you're good.
No, I was saying. Chris N said 1 dozen Krispies. We used to stop at Krispies during our lacrosse trips. I bought 4 dozen of those, right? 4 dozen, brought them back onto the bus, started selling them at $2 a pop per donut. I was making a killing. You should have seen these guys. They were starving.
Tim, can you do me a favor, bro?
What's that?
That ticker, the banner where we got Jacob having to get a tattoo on his left ass cheek. Let's put up there, bet Chris N versus Clayton.
Okay.
And put neither Quay or Wyatt 5th year option, right?
Yep.
Then Clayton would owe Chris N the donuts.
Yep.
Just put a reminder in there. Okay?
Krispies. Yeah, no, that's good. We need to mark that because that's something we're not going to have in the show notes.
So
but
again,
I like that bet.
Mm-hmm. Again, what Chris N's saying is, just to get it right here, Tim, right? I bet you a dozen donuts that Goot doesn't give the 5th year option to either of them. Okay?
Right.
There you go. All right.
Yeah.
So
all we need is one. I'm taking 4 of those donuts for sure. You're sending them down here.
Let's go. We'll send 2 to Emilio. We'll send 2 to Tim, and then my fat rear end will take the rest. All right. That's how that's going to work. So. But all right, cool. So again, that's Patreon a question. Great question, Nick. I love those type of questions, man. We try not to bore the crowd with a bunch of contract talk. I don't ever want it to become something where it's, hey, let's do something because I enjoy talking about it, right? I want it to be what the listeners want, what the viewers want. So it's awesome when that lines up because I love talking contracts. I love talking roster building, all that stuff. It's one of my faves. So, and I do want to give a shout out real quick to our newest Patreon members, Latrell Hoy. Appreciate you, buddy, joining the PTA posse over on Patreon, and also Mike Norris. Are the most recent members that have joined. So thank you guys for supporting us. We'll make sure we get you guys into the drawing for future giveaways for sure. So
too old for this in the chat says I look like a bagel with no cream cheese guy. Really, dude?
Unbelievable.
Shots fired already.
We're unbelievable. Over the bow, Tim. Are you ready for that?
Man. First of all, I'm a bagel with extra cream cheese kind of guy. You gotta do that everything bagel seasoning all over
on
it
top
too.
of an everything bagel seasoning of everything bagel on top on the cream.
That's right.
Definitely.
That's cool.
I love hearing people like Tim call it a bagel. Like you notice that, Emilio? We're down there going, give me a bagel.
A bagel.
Tim, I'm sure Tim is correct on that, but everybody in the South says bagel, and you guys kind of say it's like the further northeast you get too, they go more toward bagel, right?
Yeah, that's kind of where I land.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we have the whole Scotty thing, Scotty accent going on. I can't help it. I mean, we make up our own words here and stuff. I'm from Milwaukee. We have drinking fountains are called bubblers where I'm from. So don't trust anything.
What? What you call it? We call it a water fountain over here. Water fountain.
Yeah, water fountain, I would say.
You stay away from them, though, don't you?
Yeah.
Imagine my surprise the first time I was in the South and I was like, hey, you guys got a bubbler anywhere? And they looked at me like I was from another planet.
Well, you want some champagne, bro? Really? Yeah. Okay, gotcha. So, again, shout out to the Patreon guys. Also, we have not heard from Lyrical Killer. probably cutting an album right now.
Man,
No
I think he's
way.
on tour right now.
And we have
Little
not
wizard.
heard from Greg in Green Bay. So if I don't hear from either of those guys in the next 24 hours, then the autographed Lucas Van Ness jersey will go to Matrix Jackson.
That's
Okay,
right. Matrix was in here. He got a hold of you, Clay?
he
Good
got a
stuff.
hold of me. So he's going to be the winner if we don't hear from Lyrical Killer and Greg in Green Bay. I heard those two are cutting an album together. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah.
But we'll see. So, all right, we got some official news here too, boys, as Robert, one of our loyal listeners, always give us the update on what officials are going to be calling the game, or the head official, I should say. And this week it is, Tim, I've got it ready for you, man. You ready for this? Drum roll. Bang. Alex Kemp. Look at this guy right here. I mean, this guy eating his Fruit Loops with skim milk. There's no doubt about it. Look
Absolutely.
at this. We're going to give him some tonight, as Brett Favre once said. All right. So let's look
I
at
love that photo you picked too, because it's him clearly like giving the thumbs up while he's on the phone with the league office or whatever in the earpiece.
Two more
you,
points to
Raj.
share.
No problem, Raj.
Yeah.
No
Two more
problem.
holdings. Got it.
So here's where they rank his crew. Okay. Let's just go down the leaderboard here. Cleet Blakeman is now the leader in the clubhouse at 15.08 penalties per game. Then it's Craig Rolstad at 14.93. Then Sean Hockley, okay, old Bicep Jr. over there, 14.38. Then Brad Rodgers at 14.17. Then you've got Alex Kemp. So Alex Kemp is in the top 5 in terms of flags thrown per game. His crew has officiated 13 games this year, and again, he's averaging roughly 14 flags per game. So there is your official referee update. And again, shout out to Robert. Thank you for keeping us informed, sir.
So in other words, if we think for a second they're going to let them play, they're not. So we've got to be on our best behavior on Monday night.
Definitely. And if there's one thing that could possibly allow the Saints to stay in that game, it could be something like that. Timely penalties, right?
Yep.
So, and look at Ron Tolbert, Tim. Look at this, dude. My man, he's dropping every week. He's now down to 14.07. He's officially out of the top 5. You think he watches the show? I'm like, I'm tired of talking crap.
Yeah, I was going to say he's probably tired of catching all the heat.
That's it.
Yeah. So if I want to keep my job, I need to be middle of the road.
Yeah, he's thinking, man, it's either that or I just shoot another season of Reno 911 and just
C's get degrees. That's all I need. Yeah.
Exactly right. All right, let's go to Twitter. Y'all ready? Let's kind of see what we've missed while I was out of town here, and kind of get caught up. I thought this was cool. Dynasty Dad actually quote tweeted me, and he threw some stats in here and said, Josh Jacobs versus New Orleans. All right, since week 11, 24 fantasy points per game. That's second best in the league. 119 touches. That's first in the league, guys. Since week 11. If these numbers are correct from Dynasty Dad, and I'm sure he's an upstanding pillar of the community here, okay, 119 touches is the most in the league, and that's Josh Jacobs. All right, 9 touchdowns. That's first in the league as well. Facing the Saints defense that allows 14 rushing touchdowns. That's 4th most in the league. 109 rushing yards per game. That's 9th most in the league. And 4 multiple rush touchdown games. It sounds like, boys, our boy Josh Jacobs, it says soon to be 5 as Jacobs smashes you into the next round of glory, and you're going to get this kind of look right here. So what do you guys think? You think it's going to be a big night there Monday night? Probably going to have, I think we're going to have like a 20-30% chance of some snow flurries. It's going to be colder than a well digger's booty. We're going to be out there ready to roll, right, Tim? Let's run a rock.
Absolutely, and hey, get Josh involved in the pass game too. Get him touches on those swings and some of those quick hitters. But whatever we got to do to get him going, because we have a dynamic offense, but like that, Josh Jacobs he's the motor. I mean, that guy is the engine that drives this offense. It really allows Jay Money and the boys to cook on the receiving end based on how he's running the ball. So I would anticipate at least another run heavy approach, I would say, or prioritization of the run as we take on the Saints. It's also a good way to kind of get your O-line, get that blood pumping, get them downfield run blocking early, get in the game, and hopefully no goofy penalties, especially with this officiating crew.
Yeah. Emilio, what do you think, man? Josh Jacobs against the Saints here. Looking good, at least numbers-wise, right?
Absolutely. What's he, over 300 carries for the year, I think, right now? Let's see. Looks like on weekly plays he's at 276. I mean, the dude is just he's a workhorse. The fact that we're able to use him like that, and he's put in probably pushing a third, close to a half of his runs just since week 11. Being able to use him and not be worried or he like every time he gets up after a run, it's like, all right, feed him again. It's like the Zeke where he sits there and just churning just give me the Campbell's chunky soup and let him go to work. That's what Josh Jacobs is. So I love that. I love that we have that ability. We're going to need it as, we chase on. But like Matt always says, every time they try to bring it up, every time they try to bring Matt past today, or what's right in front of him, hey, you're chasing the playoffs. Hey, you got Vikings coming up. He shuts it down so fast. And I feel like you have to keep the players focused. And if he's, he can't be like, what do we always say? Like when you're talking to the media, you're talking to your team. He has to keep them on track. That's all we need to do is pay attention to the 24 hours in front of you, stack those days, and then we'll see where it leads us. We cannot be worrying about chasing, everybody else.
Definitely. Respect Orange just says win and you're in. Josh Jacobs going heavy before the playoffs. I like it, man. I like it as a game plan. Of course,
his pass blocking also has increased since that week. He was 70 in the first game. Then he had a 46, a 30, a 44, a 27, and a 25. Then skipped a game. Then we went 54, 76, 75, 80, 55, and a 76. That is key, man. Everything's starting to come together. He's getting the offense. He's liking being behind Jordan. It's awesome.
I like what Eric Sutherland says here. Jacobs, Wilson, and Brooks all go for 100. I would love it, and really that it's funny. He kind of like, took the point right out of my head as I thought of it. It's like, if we're going to pound the run and we don't have any question about Josh Jacobs' durability, but if you want to manage workload with a heavy run attack, start giving Wilson and Brooks some more carries, man. These guys have proven they can run the ball and run it effectively. And if that helps manage some of the load with Josh Jacobs, keeping him fresh for the playoffs, then I'm all for it. Running back by committee. Let's go.
Definitely. I'm on board too. And again, if you're saying all three of them are going to run for 100, I think Eric's just kind of being tongue-in-cheek here. I'm too drunk to taste that chicken, Ricky Bobby. You know what I mean? But I want him to have every opportunity to do that. Right?
He said, but I could probably buy the Kirby if Jacobs goes for 100 and Wilson and Brooks go for 50. Maybe we could talk about it.
Great point. CJ into the chat says, anyone else still smiling due to how that defense just dominated? Yeah, man, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. There you go. It's just the best Instagram post ever.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man, and they played complimentary. We talk about that all the time. The way that they were so organized in their pass rush, and the one play where they were not organized, the only play I noticed on the defensive line where they were unorganized with their pass rush was when Devontae Wyatt was supposed to run a TE, I'm pretty sure, and he just said, hell with it, I'm going to hit him with a spin move and go hit this quarterback real quick. And when it works, all right, big dog, go make a play, right? And he may have that freedom from the coaching staff. We talked about that. But, yeah, I agree, man. I think the defense looked great. What about you guys?
Yeah, and I swear the only other bad thing that you said, so pass rush, that was probably the only bad one. The only other bad thing the defense really did was that Charbonnet run, right? What was it, like the 20, 25-yard touchdown run? That's the only other downfall the defense had. Besides that, you kept them to field goals. And, I mean, they were holding it down. And when we needed a bailout, they bailed us out. When they were marching at the end of the second, they got us a pick. It's like everything that we needed the defense to do in that moment timed up, and it just worked.
Yeah, for sure. Tim, I know you have no problem talking about the defense at all, man. It just seems like they're peaking at the right time. Everybody's comfortable in the scheme. Carrington Valentine, man, I hope he's on the field. I really do. I hope he's, getting the majority of the snaps. I think at a bare minimum, there's no way they'll give him less snaps than he did this last game, right? I mean, he just absolutely balled out. So
I agree. Hopefully we can get some of these guys healthy too, and get this defense closer to full strength. And then we're really going to be a force to be reckoned with. But, I've said this for a number of years, man, that's what has stopped us from getting over the hump. It's the defense. And now the defense is starting to click. And I hope we're ready. Get your seatbelt on and let's enjoy the ride, because this young Packers defense is up and coming right now for sure.
Yeah. And you guys know Spencer Rattler, it sounds like he's been named the starter this week. 2-0 for this says Rattler. I hardly know her. So
Spencer Rattler. That sounds like a name from like a football movie. Like somebody wrote that name.
Yeah, right.
That's a real name. That's like
oh,
right?
absolutely.
Like Varsity Blues, right?
Yeah, Blue Mountain State.
Johnny Moxon. Come on now, that's a quarterback name straight out of Hollywood script writing right there.
I don't want your life.
I don't want your life.
Or as me and my buddies say down here, we always joke. We go, I don't want your wife. That's what we always say. Is what it is. But as far as Spencer Rattler, we talked about this on one of the previous podcasts. It's a dude that came out of high school, one of the highest recruited quarterbacks in the nation. Goes to Oklahoma, lost his job, goes to South Carolina, beat Kentucky. When I actually went to watch Spencer Rattler versus Will Levis. Boy, you talking about a crap show, right? For some reason, I was thinking this is going to be a hell of a quarterback matchup here. These are going to be two NFL players. They are, but they kind of suck. All right, we'll just leave it at that. But Spencer Rattler, he showed some things in that last game, right? I mean, he took them right down. Emilio, we talked about this. He goes right down the field. Yeah. And, of course, they chose to go for two instead of – I mean, he led them on what could have been the game-winning drive, right? Mm-hmm. At least the game-tying drive. But they chose to go for two. So I don't think you should really overlook Spencer Rattler. I think he's got a great arm. He's got an NFL arm. It's just, can he keep it together up here? That's the big thing, right?
Yeah, and I mean that's when we played him last year. That was the Buffalo Wild Wings game, and that one was that was my birthday weekend. That was terrible. So I'm happy that and we were down 17-0 in that game. So you facing Rattler going into this game, I think that the defense just needs to play smart. Kind of we want to play the mind games like we were with Geno. If we can throw Geno off his game, we should be able to throw Rattler off his game. If not, then we need to get pressure. We need to stop the run, and all those things are going to be, we need to work as a whole unit, stopping either run and pass or both, and creating that shell over the top. I think that they have it, but it's one of those trap games where it's like, hey, we can kind of walk past them, and I think that's why Matt's sticking his ground on. You just got to go day by day because we can't even play Sunday. You know what I mean? So it's like we still have another day on top of that. You guys really have to be focused.
Yep.
Drew D in the chat said there was a NASCAR driver named Dick Trickle. Did you guys know that? That's a real thing.
Speaking of crazy names. Yeah.
Just saying.
Legendary driver Dick Trickle. Yep.
Dick Trickle sounds like you need to write a prescription for that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I could be wrong. But anyway, Drew D also says, who replaces Bullard this week? I think they'll roll the way they did last week, Drew. I think you'll have Keyshawn in the slot, and you'll have Carrington Valentine and Eric Stokes on the outside. Now, if Jair plays, then you'll probably see split reps between Eric Stokes and Jair on the outside. What do you guys think? You think they'll kind of roll it out the same way, or you think they may switch it up? Because it sucks because, like, Nixon to me has played way better on the outside, right, than the slot. But in this situation here with Bullard being out, most likely being out if he hasn't already been, announced out, I think you got to go with Nixon in the slot, right?
Yeah, this is how injuries affect your team, right? Keyshawn's looking good on the boundary, and we're trying to develop Bullard and see what he's got in the slot, and then Bullard goes down, and then we need Key back in the slot, and it's just how it works. And then on top of that, you're missing your star corner, your number one corner. That certainly complicates things in the secondary, much like we looked at in this linebacker room. We see Edrin Cooper just emerge and have a lights out game, and then of course Quay gets hurt, and we don't know when we're going to see Quay on the field again. So a lot of this, one step forward, one step back, kind of playing this dance, who's going to step up. But, I think to answer Judy's question, I'm with you, Clay. I think we don't reinvent the wheel here. If it worked against Seattle, it should work against New Orleans, and kind of keep that same lineup and just play disciplined football. You can't take Spencer Rattler for granted, like you said, but you can also trust that your defense is going to get him to make a mistake or two, and then you just capitalize on it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Michael Smith in the chat says, I think they should sit Alexander until the Vikings game. I don't think that's a bad idea. Again, I'm not saying you overlook the Saints, don't get me wrong, but the way the defense played last week, you can continue off that success and let Jair sit for at least another week. I think this week would technically make 6 weeks, right, Tim? We did pretty much confirm that, right?
Yep.
So that's how long it took. What player was it that it took? It was a receiver, right, that had the same injury that took 6 weeks. Puka Nacua, I think.
Nacua, yeah.
So
exactly.
Yeah, if you sit him again, that's probably the way I'm leaning too, Michael. It really is.
I honestly wouldn't mind putting him out there for a few plays because like it was a soft tissue, right?
PCL, I think it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So either way, I mean, I would want to get a little weight on it, test out game speed, where maybe, like you were saying, you don't want to look past the Saints, but if he's, we drop him in a cover 3 and he's not ready, he gets beat over the top. I'd rather that happen rather than against the Vikings. Something we can kind of clean up and adjust. If he doesn't feel, I think it's going to be one where, he probably dresses for a game. He walks around on it. If it doesn't feel right, hop off. But like I said, if he needs the rest of the season, regular season, to get that thing hammered out and feel 100% comfortable, take it. I just need you to play in the playoffs. That's all I'm asking out of Ja at this point. Like, I don't need you to force yourself back on the field. We can get a clip and a quote after, once we win the first playoff game kind of thing. So let's not try to force it just because you're trying to get back out there before the season ends. We need you in the playoffs more.
Although, I mean, devil's advocate, Minnesota would be a good place to, test the wheels out.
Push it, definitely.
Yeah, you're playing a playoff team, a divisional game, and then you're playing in a dome. So, we know how the artificial turf is on guys' knees in this league. So if you really want to know where he's at, maybe getting him some reps against the Vikings and kind of see how it goes. If he can, if the knee holds up on that turf, maybe he's good to go moving forward. But I'm on the fence. I like the idea of like giving him time, but I also like the idea of like this dude needs to see the football field. It's been, a long time since he's played ball,
Yeah, no, I'm down to scale him up. That's all I'm saying is if he needs it, take it. But if not, scale him up. I would say starting this week, scale him up playing wise. But if he needs the rest of the season, fine, take it. But yeah, our defense is better with him out there.
For sure. We're not going to throw him out there and have him taking 50 snaps right away anyway.
No, it ain't. Yeah. So. That's not a thing for sure. You hit the nail on the head with the turf, dude. Oh, God. That's terrible. I can't. If we get another knee injury off turf, I'm going to lose my damn mind. I'm just telling you, man. It drives me insane. All of the emphasis on player safety, and it's like, how many people are going to shred their knees on Detroit's surface before we go, okay, yeah, let's focus on player safety here, right? So, M. Smitty in the chat, evening PTA posse, Smitty in the house, everybody sit up straight. All right, act like you got some sense. The man has arrived. Respect Oranges, home Oladipo time. Here's the thing, we kind of threw the idea around. Going into last week, would they maybe put Evan Williams in the slot a little bit, put Ola Home Depot at strong safety, possibly, but. I mean, they put that to bed really, really quick, right? I mean, it was Evan Williams, Xavier McKinney at safety, kick Keyshawn to slot, and obviously let Valentine and Stokes play on the outside is what it really felt. I think they'll stick to the same plan there for sure. So Drew D said Jair was listed as a full participant today, and I think I've actually got the injury report. Let's just jump right into that since Drew brung it up here real quick. Let's kind of see what the injury report looked like. Boys, this is nice to look at.
That's a short receipt right there.
Oh, baby. Getting healthy for the playoffs. Jair Alexander with the knee, full participation. Corey Ballantyne with the knee, limited participation. Javon Bullard with the ankle, did not participate. Luke Musgrave with the ankle, limited participation. And Quay Walker with the ankle did not participate. So I feel really comfortable saying Javon Bullard and Quay will be out this week. Yep. Luke Musgrave, right, we're 7 to 8 days, maybe a little longer into this 21-day window. So if it's not this week, it'll be next week, right? Yep. We're going to get to see some 88 out there on the field as well. But, Tim, this injury list, bro, this made me had me grinning like a possum in a dumpster, man. This is awesome.
It's nice to see it, kind of a little bit shorter list, but man, are those some big names for us on this list though? These are guys you want on the field. I definitely think Musgrave being, a guy that, we don't know this week, next week, he's going to be back in the fold at some point. And he would be a guy that, again, you're not going to throw him in 50 snaps a game, but you're not going to throw him in for 3. I'd want to get Musgrave out there, kind of get him going a little bit and see, because that's another weapon for us in that tight end room, the way those boys have been playing right now. Especially, we talked about Musgrave. He's basically like an extra receiver. He's a receiving threat in this offense. So be nice to see him back out there. But yeah, I am so glad that we've got a lot of guys off of that list and hoping for the best with Quay, man. It's looking, kind of up in the air right now. Hopefully he improves at some point here, and we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. Daryl in the chat says, "Oh yeah, they also have Omar Brown on the practice squad." Omar Brown, was he not a rookie
He
this
was
year?
that safety.
Nebraska.
Nebraska, yep.
I
See
believe,
where I
right?
had
We were picking him up like 200, around 200, or pick 200.
He was on our draft board, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had him pretty far
one
down.
of our draft boards. Maybe not Clayton's. Might have been on mine or something. The
We had him
board.
toward the bottom of the list. There's no doubt about it, right? Like, because I remember we were picking him up past 200.
Yep.
So,
It's
measurable.
a good point though from Daryl, because that's what we talked about. Him being, guys like that are depth, and you may need depth down the stretch here as we start seeing how banged up our secondary is.
If Kalen needs to show up, or what, who needs to come up and play. But yeah, I think that if we could get Ola Home Depot a couple reps, I wouldn't mind it. But Tim, to your point with Musgrave, I think that we're probably going to be splitting, or he'll get a third of whatever Sims is running, and probably the passing plays out of Sims running. So, if Sim gets 30 plays a game and he's doing 20 of them run blocking, he's staying in for those 20, Musgrave will get the 10 passing, and just work him in that way. But I just looked real quick. Last year, week 15, so week before, we had 14 people on the IR. So, I mean, that's why I was going to ask, how do you think that strength and conditioning decision has landed us this year? Are we happy with it?
Well, I'll tell you this. You as soon as you make a change like that, you start looking too closely at injuries. Like, like for instance, you guys remember the pecs popped, right?
Yep.
All the pecs popped, and we lost. Who was it? We lost Tucker Kraft, and we lost Zach Nom, right?
Yep. And Matt LaFleur.
And then it was my understanding while I was out of town that Jordan Morgan was officially placed on IR, right, in his year. So that was a shoulder. So it sounds like, and both of those guys and the coach who popped the pecs did it on bench press, right? So that throws a red flag, just like the hammies in the past. Now the hammies seem to be they're out now. We're good, right?
Well, but Cooper's the only one who was dealing with the hammy, and then Marshawn Lloyd, right, hamstring as well. Got something going on with that left leg. So,
and
I know what you mean, though, Clayton. You don't want to trade one set of injury issues for another, right? We don't want to just go from lower body to upper body injuries.
Because there were four shoulder injuries that week, but last year, week 15, 4 shoulder injuries, 2 hammies, a quad, an ankle, a knee, and a toe.
And a partridge in a pear tree. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's crazy. You're right, because we want to look at it in one light or the next, but it's just how are they approaching it as a team? What have they done to get it better? Because I know that a lot of people talk about Philly being way out of shape, right? Then they changed up their strength and conditioning, and now they're in better shape rolling into the postseason this year than they were last year.
Right. Exactly. All right, guys, that's going to do it for hour 1. For those of you listening on the pod, we will see you on the other side for hour 2. We appreciate y'all. All right, welcome into hour 2. King Tron with the super chat. Appreciate you, sir. He says, glad to see Ja full practice as always. Boys, thank you for being our go-to source for all things Packers and for being stand-up human beings about 65% of the time. So,
65%.
65%. That's what we
love that, guys. And he gets the halftime. What's the
it's this week, right? Yeah.
This Monday night.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Mark Murphy's going to be honored at halftime this week. Was another reason we were thinking about flying up for that, because I'm a big Mark Murphy guy. I love it. But that's awesome, man. That's good stuff. So that should be a good time. Listen, any week can be a trap week. We talk about it all the time, right? The worst team in the league is extremely close to the best team in the league. And I know there's some fans that roll their eyes at that until their team's getting their ass kicked and they're going, what happened? What happened? It's because everybody's good in the league. But this week, if you were to look at the schedule and look at this injury list, right, when it comes to the Saints side, and you go, okay, what week would you like to pick to have, you honor someone at halftime? This is the week, right? I mean, let's be honest. It is what it is. Doesn't mean it's a guaranteed win, but this is probably the one you would pick. Same thing if you're buying tickets, right? You want one where you jump up to a 14, 20-point lead, and you can just go get an extra daddy soda, get you some Reese's Pieces like I do. Cold beer and Reese's Pieces. Don't ask me why. I love it. All right. It is what it is. Some brats, some cheese curds.
And then get on that tube and go sled down Arians Hill at title time.
I don't know, man. You'll be I don't know, you'll be calling some dinosaurs going down that tube after eating all that trash.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Be careful.
Cheese curds make my stomach hurt all the time, but I do eat them though.
But King Tron, thank you for the super chat, bud. We appreciate you. Thanks for getting a sidetrack too, man. I love it. Absolutely. New Orleans Saints side. Here we go. Derek Carr, we know left hand did not participate. He is going to be out. We're all very well aware of that. Spencer Rattler, I'm pretty sure, was already named. I think there was a guy, and if I want to think it was a dude on Twitter who covers the Saints who has over 90,000 followers that broke that news that Spencer Rattler is going to start. So pretty much put that to bed, right? Jawan Johnson tied in with the foot limited. Alvin Kamara was another one. Someone else had tweeted out they did not expect Alvin Kamara to play in this game. So that's huge. If that's
groin. Yeah, I wouldn't want to mess with it.
Yeah, exactly. And what are they playing for, right?
Yep.
So Bub Means, wide receiver, man, he sounded like he grew up in the same trailer park I did right there. Ankle did not participate. Kool-Aid McKinstry with the shoulder was limited. Okay, there you go. Chris Chris Olave, wide receiver, head injury. That's a concussion. It says head. What's that about? Limited.
Be, I don't know. That's weird.
Laceration or something, maybe?
Yeah, like a contusion or something on his head, maybe.
Yeah, that's kind of scary.
I mean, that can happen, right? You could take a shot to the grill and get a cut or something, but not necessarily be concussed. So hopefully
heavy bruise or something like that, maybe.
Yep.
Could be. Have a heavy bruise on my head sometimes when I forget to take the trash down.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
most of the time it's on the back of the head, though.
I am a battered husband. I promise you that. MVS, chest injury, did not participate. Hey, MVS, man, I don't know what the numbers look like. I don't know what his success rate is, his catch over expected, all that. But it just seems like every week when I turn on the tube and look at the highlights, that dude was catching a bomb, was he not?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, he saved it all for when he left Green Bay.
Went and got
his receiving. It's tough.
Went and got that ring with Kansas City, right? So, got that out of the way. Chase Young, defensive end, man. That's right. They did trade for Chase Young, didn't they?
Yeah. That we talked about. We entertained that idea for a while, right? Trying to go out, target him in free agency last season. I believe we talked about it. And he's got an illness, so that, not a specific injury. Hopefully he's just, under the weather. But, how do you gauge that too with an illness, right? Like, we're going to know before the game, right? We'll know when we get the actives.
Professor Cake says he's got 2 rings, so that's interesting. If that's true, he's got 2 Super Bowl rings. That's wild to think about, man.
That's so crazy.
Dane Stromstad said we smoke out of bubblers. All right,
stay off the damn weed.
That got such a good pop out of Amelia.
I didn't see the chat before you put it up.
It's so genuine too. Respect Orange just says drugs are bad. Okay.
Okay, guys.
All right, here we are. See, the show sucks again. Let's go to Twitter. All right, let's get off this injury list. There's
there we go.
Yeah,
here's a guy.
You start smoking out of bubblers, you look like this.
Here's a guy.
This is my favorite picture so far this year, man. This is what we talked about, boys. For those of you listening on the pod, okay, get this picture of Caleb Williams leaned over on the bench as if he's just dying. Okay,
That's Clayton after his 3rd bowl at Elk Stroganoff.
looking through the atrium glass for the Uber. Like, where's he at? Where's this guy at? But yeah, he's just attention. Look at me. So anyway.
So to that point, Clayton, last night I was playing a dude in online versus college football. His name was KC Dad, whatever something, and I was like, all right, so what's your take on Pat Mahomes? He's the god. I was like, okay. What's your take on Jordan Love? He's a bum. I was like, oh, really? Okay. So what's your take on Caleb Williams? He's the truth. And I said, exactly. Rashawn Gary with the stare down. My man, are you serious? So I just had to take – yeah.
I'd hit him.
I just unplugged the mic. I said, man.
That's crazy, man.
Can't be talking to this dude.
Yeah.
Heard it from a fan right here.
There you go. So speaking of Caleb Williams, you guys remember the famous exchange with Torrey Taylor, the all-universe punter that the Bears spent the 4th-round pick on, right? And so new Bears punter Torrey Taylor said he got this text from Caleb Williams. We talked about it, right? Hey, you're not going to punt too much here, right? Did you guys see the sideline exchange between Torrey Taylor and Caleb Williams, where Torrey calls him out. Did you see that, Tim?
No,
He
I
literally
don't.
said,
I try not to watch Bears games.
this was during the preseason, I think, and he actually said something about having a punt already 3 times, and Caleb, it's just a preseason. Like, cut him off real quick. It's just a preseason.
Oh, man.
So Scott Barrett on Twitter, go give him a follow at Scott Barrett DFB. Net yards 2024. Caleb Williams 2,535 passing yards. Torrey Taylor 2,722 punting.
Wow.
So he literally has more punting yards than Caleb Williams has passing yards. Just want to get y'all's take on that real quick, man. I don't know.
I just
And
don't
Bears
even
gonna bear, man. That's my take. That's why they always say bear down, bear down. Yeah, like bear down and brace yourself for some more disappointing statistics and another dumpster fire of a season. That's my take on it. And I guess I could just finish it with
The Bears still suck.
all I need to say is thank you to Mountain Man for sending this in, because if not, man, we wouldn't have time to just roast him, and that's exactly what he deserves. I mean, what all he said, all we heard all season from ESPN was it was the best team that a quarterback has ever gone into, ever.
Yeah.
So why does he look like that on the sideline? And riddle me that question.
Yep.
It's crazy, man. Crazy talk. Again, shout out to Mountain Man Pack. Go give him a follow on Twitter at mountainman_PAC. All right. And don't look like this when you're in public, people. Okay. Just tell you, don't
Sit up straight.
All right. Let me comb through, make sure nothing's inappropriate here on the old Twitter, and see what's up next here. Oh, this is great, man. I had to do this. I was actually waiting on Mandy to get ready for us to go tubing today. I was sitting in the hotel, and I said, let me just throw this together real quick. You guys seen the rant, the video, right? So I just threw this together. Check it out.
And it wasn't that it was just this much.
You see how upset he look at this guy. Look at this guy, man. And everybody on the pod, this is Ryan Clark. Like, look, I don't care what he thinks. The hell you don't. Look at this stupid. All in his feelings.
Yep.
All in his feelings. Y'all got a take on this at all?
Talking with his hands.
Nah, I'm gonna leave this alone.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
12 is the man. I really can't wait for him to come back and hang up the jersey.
There you go. I second that.
Packer for life. That's all it is.
And I can't wait to watch all these haters choke on their words when he comes back, goes into the hall, gets his number retired. You all will be forgotten, and you'll remember nothing but the greatness that is Aaron Rodgers. So yeah, I'm not interested in what these guys have to say. These attention-starved, overly emotional guys. I'm good.
So you see his initials on his chest, right? And we're going to get this off quick. We don't want to get hit with a copyright, and I'm sure he'd be the type of ass that would do it. But he's reading off a script, guys. You can see him reading off a script on a 4-minute video responding to Aaron Rodgers. Look at him looking down and reading.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're
could have at least put the paper behind the camera. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? Like look into the camera while doing it. But he's the same one that has all. I mean, you need your initials in every coat jacket you wear. I mean, do you lose it, or is it like is it something
you
that
forget
like?
it? What's going
I mean,
on?
I don't. I mean, my grandpa always said just put your initials on the tag. No, but what are we doing with? You got to stitch them in everywhere. I don't know.
It's just weird. It screams little man syndrome. You know what I mean? Like, and it'd be different if Aaron like took a shot at him first. I would be like, hey man, do your thing, Ryan, cook him, you know?
Yeah.
But it's so obvious that he's just infatuated with Aaron Rodgers, and then goes on TV making just an absolute mockery of himself, saying how this guy doesn't mean anything to me. I mean, it's like, obviously he does. You won't stop talking about him. It's just wild, man.
And
Absolutely.
somehow you're under the impression that people want to hear what you have to say.
Right.
I'm with Respect Oranges. The details of his opinion are inconsequential.
I don't even know what that means, but I like it. Sounds really good. Sounds very professional. Yeah, it's just, again, you're talking about, I think he made one Pro Bowl, right? Made one Pro Bowl. And him running his mouth about Aaron, he's not a leader, and he's not this, and he's not that. And, you know, it's just the arm talent. And once that goes, so does he, and this and that. Just
sit your butt outside.
It would be like me getting on here and bashing Ryan Clark's history in the league. I wouldn't do that. I never played one snap in the league, right? So the fact that he went at Aaron like that's just hilarious. I love how Aaron's response too. Before you do it again, state your vax status, right? So everybody knows where it's coming from. It's just absolutely perfect. So there's too old for this. People are still hung up on Rodgers' vax stats. That's just crazy. Anyway,
He's probably just mad the more people watch him on Pat McAfee than people watch Ryan Clark on ESPN. That's probably the issue.
It's hilarious, dude. It's absolutely hilarious. So anyway, let's talk some current Packers here. Emilio, you got us off topic there. That was your fault. I'm gonna blame
No.
you. No. Jacob Morley says since
poop in my hand. So
Jacob Morley did not say poop in my hand. Jacob Morley said since the bye, Christian Watson is averaging 29.8 yards per reception. That is the top mark by a Packer over a 5-game span in team history. Minimum 10 receptions. That's per the Packers dope sheet, by the way. So, man, team history, guys.
That's up there. I mean, you're up there with some legends there in Packer receiving history, man. That's huge. Talk about a guy getting hot at the right time, right? You better watch out for Scoot, man.
My man is getting us 3 first downs and flipping the field with just one catch, like one of those catches per game. Like that's basically what he's putting out there. That's unbelievable. And it's setting a precedent for the D to, have to be able to cover that, shell it. We tried to cover him tight. I was watching Big R on the breakdown, and when he was breaking down that Christian catch, he literally was just distraught. He's like, "That's our best corner. That was our Pro Bowl corner." Dude just gets, he knew he had a little bit of safety help. Safety underestimated it. Both of them were behind Christian on the back shoulder ball. Like if that was out in front of him, he probably would have still been running. So it's like, it's just crazy, that he's really starting to shape up into it.
Yeah, no doubt. Ron Samuel in the chat says, LaFleur says Watson is A+ in every part of his game right now. Tim, we talked about the blocking, dude. We seen it 4, 5, 6 weeks ago. It was like this dude is blocking his ass off. He's running crisp routes. His hands have gotten better. He can still stretch the defense vertically. Now we're mixing in back shoulder throws. He's drawing penalties down the field for deep game. It's a wild time to be a Christian Watson fan, dude. He's really, really stepping into his own right now.
I mean, I remember when Coach first said,
no block, no rock.
And I believe Christian Watson was like, he took that to heart, man. And really kind of fired up that whole receiving core. And if you notice, all the guys are doing it. Everybody gets down and dirty in the run blocking and the pass blocking too when they're needed to. And one of the things that's so good is it's kind of an art form too. You got to know when to engage, right? When to run a route, when to engage, and actually go ahead and block. And if you're not careful, that can cost you penalty yards. So seeing Watson do all the little things and then go out there and making body adjusting catches and toe tappers and high pointing balls and just absolutely torching defenders at the next level. Like he is, man, he's a bona fide star in the making. And he really is. He's on the rise. I don't even know what a ceiling for him looks like. I really don't. And,
right.
Remember with the, his rookie year and his second year, man, we kind of got cheated out of some Christian Watson reps, with injuries and things like that. This year, man, he's been available and he's been putting up some really good numbers, man. It's exciting.
So to that point, Tim, he now has 514 snaps this year. 2023, 506. 2022, 507. So he's already 7-8 snaps more than either of the 2 previous years, and his offensive grade is the second highest. Obviously, his first year was 77, second year 68.2. This year he's a 71.2 with a slow start to the year. I'm not mad at that at all. He's been blocking. We've been able to. What I like is now that he doesn't have to be the main blocker all the time. He's actually able to get downfield and run some routes where we're actually willing to walk Wicks in and do that kind of stuff and just that kind of stock block. So I like that Matt's not forcing him to just be that blocking guy and Dobbs just to be the out guy.
I agree. Everybody does everything, right? I mean, nobody asks anyone to do anything they wouldn't do themselves in this offense. And I think in a lot of ways, that's how Matt coaches his team, right? He's willing to just put in the extra work and do the little things that can put us over the top. And you're absolutely right. We're not going to be one-dimensional as an offense,
Definitely. Nathaniel in the chat says, in all caps, I'm not going to scream it. I guess he was screaming. Why are we suffering a Southern accent covering the Pacers? This is the Packers, dog, not the Pacers, okay?
The Pacers?
Just so you know. But I'll tell you this, man. If you don't like the accent, we're gonna have to hit you with one of these, okay?
Sit your butt outside.
All right, so you take care now, Bubba. We'll see you on the other side, all right? And he's gone. All right, let's move it along here. And I seen somebody say, well, can we not talk politics? Who the hell's talking politics on here? Did somebody say something about politics?
He did.
Oh, he must.
Nathaniel did.
Oh, Nathaniel did?
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Edit
cool.
D's. How about that?
There you go. We're out of here. Mr. Cake said, I just had to rewatch Rodgers throwing a seed to Jennings in the Super Bowl, just out of the reach of one Ryan Clark. Yeah, that play still haunts Clark to this day. And that's one of the things he said that made him mad.
Yep.
He said that Rodgers looked at him and said, 25. You were like that close. Like he was, to me, it was like a compliment. Like, man, it was, and he said, my friends call me 25 and we ain't friends. You call me by my name? Okay.
Oh my gosh. Here's the tough guy act.
I got you. So you weren't wearing 25, or how are we supposed to, like, when the announcers called you, did they say 25, or I don't? You tell me, Ron.
Yeah, it's just a tough look. It really is. Anyway, Christian Watson absolutely balling out. You love to see it, man. No doubt about that. All right. Oh, this is cool. Check this out, man. This little guy popped up. There were 3 cats on the property up at Blowing Rock, right?
Oh,
This
man.
dude just walked right to the top of the rock with me because that's like a huge drop off on the other side. Bro, his name was Rocky too. This dude was a pimp, man. He was absolutely.
He was just looking to have a good time.
Yeah, he laid down there and just checked out the view for a minute.
You imagine sunbathing up at the top of the mountains, being just a cat chilling up there, dude. Unbelievable. You're living the best life.
And I went to walk into the gift shop when we were leaving, and he tried to cut him out. No, stay back, stay back. And no one said, no, he'd come in. He lives in here. He walked right in, laid in the window. I was like, man, this is awesome, man. So anyway, pretty cool.
I don't know. Rocky's kind of got that. Can we see Rocky again?
Yeah.
Rocky kind of looks like a ref. I don't know.
He does got the stripes. Oh, yeah. I mean,
Come on now.
Unbelievable.
He didn't throw any flags when you were up there, did he?
He did not. No, so he couldn't. Yeah, couldn't have been an official. There's no doubt about that. He was keeping it cool. So again, just reposting some of this stuff from Ryan Clark. Just walking through Twitter.
Oh,
Ryan Clark keeps calling Aaron Rodgers a fraud. Here are some of the things to know about Clark. He refused to appear on air with Sage Steele after he learned he was a conservative. He had a football agent help negotiate his deal in a clear conflict of interest that should be fireable. He defends those clients on the air. Pretends to be friends with ESPN hosts while trying to convince execs to give him their job. Did a segment to discuss how black quarterbacks are. Wears a pin with his initials on the suits. He's a pro. There you go. That pretty much sums it.
That last one kills me, dude.
No, it wears a suit with his initials.
Yeah, give Grandma her brooch back.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, we got to be careful with this one. Let me just do this so we don't get hit there. The other day we showed a 3-second clip that evidently came from the telecast, and they hit us with copyright. So here's what the tweet says from Jacob Morley. Edgerrin Cooper amongst all off-ball linebackers, minimum 150 coverage snaps. PFF coverage grade 76.9. That's third best in the league. NFL QB rating when targeted 70.4. That's first in the league with the lowest QBR win or the QB rating when targeted at 70.4 amongst linebackers. This dude, man, telling you, we have not seen this happen at the linebacker position. I don't think we've ever seen it in Green Bay since the PFF era. Have we? Who was the best linebacker that we've seen, inside linebacker, since PFF came on the scene? I think they came on the scene, what was it, 2012, something like that?
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, like, AJ Hawk, but we're kind of.
Yeah, I mean, he was, yeah. And he was kind of on the backside of his,
maybe Clay when they had him walked inside, but I would say that's about
he
it.
played pretty well inside, didn't he, Clay?
Right, yeah.
Yep, he did.
And then that was kind of still before they started transitioning back to going back out there, but I think that would be your closest comparison. And wasn't Edgerrin, didn't he also get Rookie of the Year twice this year? And that was like the first time a Packers rookie has ever done, like a defensive rookie's ever done that, getting Player of the Week twice.
Yep. So you're constantly seeing these things happen for the first time. Man, it's as one guy said on the interweb one time, dead giveaway. So our boy Edgerrin Cooper, man, he's looking good, no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what else we got here. I like this tweet that went out. This is legit too. This is Eric Wilson riding his bike to practice All right, got them snow tires kicking over there.
Word.
Bobby tweeted out, "Snow, what snow? Ain't no stopping Eric Wilson and his bike from getting to practice, man." We love to see
Love it.
That is so cool that you can do. I mean, like that's the kind of small town feel that you literally can just hop on a bike and rip over to practice. Like, imagine trying to do that in downtown Atlanta.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, or just like
Right,
downtown Dallas. I mean, you'd be like 30 minutes away, even getting through traffic. You got to weave through all that. He's just cutting it up on the sidewalk. People are going to work. Tim's passing him. I see Tim in the back there. He's like 4 cars back.
Oh, I love it.
Hilarious, man. Absolutely hilarious. And again, this is what makes Green Bay special, right? We talk about it all the time. I remember the first trip I ever took to Green Bay. Actually, no, the second trip I took to Green Bay. We had set up a day like, hey, Mandy, I got you hooked up with this awesome spa. It's going to be a spa day for her, right? Like a massage therapist, all that good stuff. We roll in the parking lot, and I literally look away about 50 yards and went, that's Nick Barnett.
Yep.
Mandy was like, that's weird that you know who that is from that far away. I'm like, that's Nick. I know that's Nick Barnett. Didn't have a jersey on or nothing, right? So it's just cool that in the town of Green Bay, man, you run into people all the time.
Compared to, like 2 for this said, you get pulled over on the way to the stadium in a Bugatti in Miami. That's exactly what we're trying to avoid here. All we're worried about is that an electric bike? Is that one with a little engine on it too?
It looks like
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. Those some big tires on that bike, boys.
That's a mountain bike.
That's
right there.
100% middle linebacker powered bike riding right there.
Yeah.
Tim is having none of the electric talk.
When he goes out to practice, he goes, "No, kids, I'm sorry, I have my own bike, but you can still ride with me."
That's awesome. It's just, again, pretty cool that got tweeted out. Now here we go, the frozen tundra.
Yep.
Or
Here we go. The shots we can't get.
Yeah.
Only the cool guys like Schneidman get these
I
shots.
got that shovel too.
I love it.
got that, Tim. I got that same shovel they were using to clear the snow. I use that same one to throw mulch. The same shovel.
If you look really close in the background, you see Tim with a harness hanging off the light right there in the back. So Matt Schneidman put this tweet out and said, dumping snow here in Green Bay as the Packers prepare to host the Saints on Monday. Quay Walker and Javon Bullard, the only ones on the 53 not practicing. So, again, we already kind of hit the injury report. You're going to see some of that get recycled. But look at that snow, boys. This is better than
Wow.
man. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, I love it.
You get to practice in it. You get to work through it, catching the ball. You got stuff in your face. I mean, and Matt was saying it could be close to something like this game day, right? The word, Tim?
I mean,
Slight chance, yeah.
There's a slight chance.
like
and then,
it.
We've got whatever's already on the ground too. So it'll be cold for sure at the very least. So I think it's good that Matt had him outside today and just get out there, get in the elements, especially having the extra day off this week,
Right.
Get out there.
Do you think the Saints turned their practice facility into 30 degrees?
Yeah, I'm wondering how do you, but that's the thing when, a team from the South like that, how do you prep to come up here?
Mm-hmm.
Do you fly up to Chicago and try and, go to that dumpster fire Chicago Bears facility and practice maybe
Right.
simulate the weather? I don't know. But, at the end of the day, these guys are all pros, right? And the weather affects both teams. It's always in different ways, though. Obviously, we have the home field advantage playing at Lambeau. But, I don't know. That's a great question. They're a dome team, so I hope we get more snow for Monday night. It'd be great.
There you go. Right now, the forecast is a high of 34 on Monday during the day, 50% chance of snow. Snow accumulations around an inch. And then Monday night, a low of 25 with a 17% chance of snow. And that's probably overnight. So you might see a little flurry. And this could change, Tim. You'll say it all the time, right? If you don't like the weather, hang around a few minutes, it'll change.
Yep.
You're looking at sunset being around 4:16 local time. So it's going to be, we're going to be well into, obviously, the darkness and the cold there come Monday Night Football kickoff. I think there's a chance you see some flurries at kickoff. I don't think it'll be any kind of heavy snow, but again, we'll check on it the next day or two and see if anything changes for sure. So, All right, let's roll along here. This was awesome. We've been talking a little bit about Carrington Valentine. You guys know I'm on my soapbox. I said the time is now. I think he should be the starter. I think you should get the majority of the reps when Jai is healthy again this week. I think you'll see Eric Stokes and Carrington Valentine. There's a pretty good chance of that. Both those guys getting all of the snaps on defense most likely. But Carrington Valentine, this is PFF Green Bay Packers, among cornerbacks in Week 15, 90.4 coverage grade. That's fifth, okay? And then it goes on to say 1 first down allowed, 1 interception, 1 forced incompletion, and a 58.3 passer rating allowed.
And tell the boys and girls at home, what round was he drafted in again, Clayton?
That was the 7th round of the University of Kentucky.
Seventh round draft pick. Balling like a first rounder. I love it. Let's
And
go.
I said
We
this
need more of
before,
this.
too.
More Valentine. We need early Valentine's Day gifts here. More reps, more
that.
snaps for Carrington.
You know, and I'll say this: when people find out I'm a Kentucky fan, they're like, "Oh, of course he's going to prop his boy up." Go back and listen to the pod last year, Tim. I dogged the hell out of Carrington last year.
Yep.
Did I not?
Yep.
It was like, this dude, I want him to work out. He's a wildcat. He's not playing good football. He's starting, and that's admirable. Like, hey, 7th round pick, getting all that time, like 900 snaps last year, I think. But he did not play great football this year. Playing some pretty darn good football, boys. This is it's exciting. And I also mentioned before too, when we went into the spring press conferences for the SEC, the year that Carrington was drafted, I remember Coach Stoops with Kentucky said, we got a big hole to fill in that secondary. Carrington was our emotional leader on defense, is what he said. So it's just awesome to see him have this kind of game. And again, it's only 1 week where it's like, whoa, this dude played really lights out. But we also went and compared passer rating when targeted. He's right there on par with Keyshawn Nixon. He's probably much better than Keyshawn Nixon now. Probably climbed up the ranks as far as passer rating when targeted. So statistically, having a better year than Keyshawn at the moment when you look at kind of some of the key analytics in that regard. That's not to say he's a better corner than Key. It's just saying right now he's playing better football than Key. There's no doubt. So
he has been. And that was another thing on Big R's breakdown, man. He was just taken back as a Seahawks fan that, like, he was able to peel off of a man route, turn his hips completely, get upfield, and make that play because he knew where the stakes were. He knew that, if he's trying to go over the top of me, he's trying to force that touchdown. And, we brought the pressure pick, coverage, sack. That's all it takes.
Definitely. All right, so again, Carrington, let's keep an eye on him as we go through the rest of the year. Go ahead,
He had
Tim.
that PBU right before that play, too. Before the pick, too.
Yeah, and this is crazy, too, man.
A hell of a defensive play as well.
Tim, I heard people saying he dropped an interception, and I'm like,
it's debatable. It was probably catchable, but I don't care. He didn't give up a touchdown. That's the more important thing. And then he turned around and got a pick on the next play, right?
Right.
The reason that I kind of disagree with he dropped the interception is I remember him turning around, making a play on the ball. He's fading left, throws his right hand up and swats the ball away. I didn't look at that like he dropped an interception, but maybe I'm giving him a little too much credit there. I don't know. And here's the information we talked about, Ian Rappaport. So it was actually Rappaport that talked about Spencer Rattler. I was wrong on that. Saints interim coach Darren Rizzi told reporters that Spencer Rattler will start at quarterback on Monday night against the Packers. Meanwhile, running back Alvin Kamara is unlikely to play with a groin injury more severe than initially known. So that came straight from the head coach. Those two guys probably going to be shut down. This kind of sounds like the Saints are packing it in for the year and going, all right, let's try to get a little bit better draft pick and let some of the young guys play and get them some experience. So,
cool. Well, we will happily hand you that L for you to take back to New Orleans. That's fine. Come on up here and grab that L.
Yeah. And you see this, and it's like, let's let Jair sit this one out, boys. Let's let him get healthy, And if he's full participation, great. All right, he checked out during the week. Awesome. Let's sit it down one more time. And I'm on board too with what you guys were saying. I think it was you two that were saying hey, what about limited snaps? Have him ready, right? Get him in a series or two, test it a little bit, and then all right, let's shut it down for the night.
Because wasn't he full participation all last week too?
He was
full participation all week, and then game day doesn't play. So maybe it's the same way this week, full participation and then doesn't play. But we can hope, obviously. But we just don't know until game time.
The question is, do they want to use a spot? For how many can they dress on game day? It's like 48 or something, 46 or something.
I think it's 48.
Okay, so we'll see.
I rock real quick said Stoops, as in legendary Bob from the Sooner State. It's Bob's brother. If I remember correctly, it's Bob Stoops was the coach of Oklahoma, right? For a long time, I think he won a natty there. It's his brother that was coaching Kentucky, and that whole family is like legends in the state of Oklahoma. So just to throw that out there real quick, but not that anybody cares about Kentucky football. Hell, it was hard for me to care this year with the way they play. It is what it is. Coach Lynn says if Valentine stayed in college for another year, he would have been a 3rd-round pick. Glad he came out early and we got him. That's a great point, Coach. I could see that being the case. I could see him, waiting another year and climbing somewhere between the 3rd and the 5th, something like that, right? Hell, maybe even the 2nd. Who knows? But yeah, you're right. It worked out great for the Packers for sure. So, all right. Anything else in the chat? I think we're good, right? Yeah, we're good. Okay, so let's move it along here. See what else we got. There's the Alvin Kamara news. We kind of talked about that, and I think we're actually here. We go. Just a quick little nugget here from Matt Schneemann. Quay Walker had a boot on his left foot in the locker room today after injuring his ankle in Seattle. By the way, Matt LaFleur said earlier this week he has more week to week than day to day. So obviously there's no chance Quay Walker's playing this week. Let him rest up for the playoffs too. You're going to want him healthy for the playoffs, no doubt.
Because it's going to be Eric Wilson taking the dot. However bad we want Coop to take it, it's not. I don't think it's going to happen this year. Keep Eric Wilson in there just because he knows what he's got to call. Bing, bam, boom, done. Then maybe Isaiah McDuffie loses a couple snaps to Coop getting a few more, and just run it from there. But Coop is even more on that track of let him rest until the playoffs and then move forward with it, rather than more so than Ja.
Maybe we get a little more snaps for Tyron Hopper in the mix here if Quay's going to be missing a couple of games.
There you go.
I like how he comes downhill. I mean, at some point, he's going to have to get a couple reps.
Was it you said last week, Amelia? He got 3 snaps.
He got 3 snaps, and he made a tackle on one of them. So that's something I can get behind.
So do you take another 3 away from Zay McDuffie or something, and give him 3 more?
I wouldn't be mad at it.
Build it up, give him a little more.
I really wouldn't be mad at it. I mean, he's been out there on special teams all year. He's doing his thing, but you get different in the live rep because Home Depot was in on those same 3 plays. He came up and spotted him on one of those tackles, but it's just a different game speed, even to backups or whatever it is.
Yep.
Yeah. Drew D in the chat said, do you want to test these guys on a snowy field? That's how the 49ers got Christian McCaffrey hurt for the season. It's a good point. It's a good point. I don't want to test them on any field if they're not 100%, period. Yeah. Right? We're saying if Jair Alexander checks out with the mile-per-hour test that Matt LaFleur was talking about, if he checks out, blows it out of the water, I'm cool with, hey, let's sit him this week. But if you want to get him out there a series or 2, the only way you do that is if he checks out 100% ready to go. If there's a 0.5% chance that, hey, he's not ready to go, I don't want to see him on the field. That's just me. So anything you guys want to add to that comment there?
Just to that situation, Chris N said here, Goots said they had a 2nd-round grade on Hopper. Lies. Do you think that's the case? Like, do you think that Goody was not, giving us a runaround a little bit on it just because, we took another linebacker after we already took one? I'm not mad at it, but you would think that if it's a 2nd-round pick, just like Cooper, if he's the skill of Cooper or in that same talent pool as Cooper, you would think that he'd get a couple more snaps on the field.
Yeah,
but there's also where you're drafted and how you develop as a player. We're into your first season. If you're not grasping concepts, if you don't know there can be a multitude of reasons why a rookie doesn't get playing time.
All right. And if Christian's saying that Goody lied about that, I don't think he lied about that. You want to lose trust within your organization, and that you say that type of stuff and it not be true. I'm thinking that Goody's telling the truth there. He probably did have a 2nd-round grade on him. And The reason I say this because if you go into the media and you say we had a 2nd-round grade on him, and every scout, everyone who sat in on your board meeting, building the draft board, knows it was a 5th round or whatever it was, that is not a good look for you as a general manager. Mm-hmm. To me, that stuff does not happen in the building. That's just me personally. Now, I will say this about Tyron Hopper. We had over 200 prospects on our draft board, right? Emilio, you were in the house for the draft this year. Out of those 200 plus, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 were in purple, meaning they were an absolutely perfect match for the Green Bay Packers. So they may have something baked into their system, their draft board, that, hey, if they meet the criteria all the way across the board, meaning age, size, measurables in terms of an RAS or whatever athletic score they use. It also meant that they did a one-on-one interview with them, they were a top 30 visit, all that stuff, right? Then maybe that boosts them up their board, right? That could be the case too. And that could have made him a second-round pick on their board, because there are what they call cluster busters that scouts and GMs use to kind of get you through the muddy water when you got a cluster of players like, hey, we got all these guys with a similar grade. All right, well, let's look at the measurables. Let's look at all these intangibles, these things that we find are very, very important to us that maybe some organizations don't, like the Bears, and that's why they always suck. You know?
So sometimes a bad interview can drop you out of the conversation just by being brought in for a visit. I mean, we were talking about the Rodgers documentary last night, right? You know, perfect example. He talked about the interview in Green Bay being one of the most difficult he went on when he was being drafted. And it's a testament to what we do in Green Bay when it comes to our young players. You know, you're going to put them under pressure, put them in that room, you know, put some pressure on them, see how they respond to it. You know, does any professional football team want to draft any player that, you know, cowers in the face of a little pressure? I don't think so.
Right. Read this comment for me here. I'm going to see if I can pull up the grading scale real quick.
Drew D, yeah, I checked this one. Yeah, I would agree with this. I don't really think the Packers grade them out by rounds. It's more by tier. So I think there's truth to that statement, right? You're building a draft board. You got your projected rounds, right? Obviously, everyone tries to do that, mocks and all those things. But you're looking at these players by position and by their skill set, I think, above anything else, right? Because guys they drop and rise in the draft by the minute sometimes.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly it. I was looking at the board, Clayton, the laminated one, and Coach here, he said, "What did y'all think of Knight, the linebacker from UTEP that played for the Seahawks? He was picked after Hopper, so I put him on the list way down at the bottom. But around Hopper, in if we're talking cluster buster, would have been Dallas Gant, Jandre Hunter, Bozeman, and Darius Massow would have been around where we had him on our board, kind of." And
that's not him right there, is it?
That is exactly the man, Tim. That is the man. He got spiked. So yeah, that's tough.
Somebody come look at this.
That's not a great look. I haven't seen that happen to Hopper, but he also hasn't gotten that much playing time.
That's true. That is true.
But I mean, compared to maybe where Dallas Gant is, I can look that up and see maybe where he's at if he's getting a lot of playing time. But it's like, I'm not mad. I think that he really could have that second round take or the second round skill on Hopper. It's just maybe it's not coming to him, or maybe he just doesn't understand the defense yet. I don't know. But
J. Cole, Knight would be where Hopper is on special teams.
See.
All right, pull that Drew comment back up for me. Let's hit this real quick and we'll wrap up. I know we're at the hour 22 mark. I don't really think the Packers grade them out by rounds. It's more by tier. Okay, so this is how pretty much every NFL team does their grading system. Okay, it's my understanding everyone across the league uses this grading scale, and they kind of bend it and tweak it to fit their style of drafting. Okay. This was an article written by Bill Parcells. We're not going to go through the entire article, but I just want to say this is the second of a two-part series examining the personnel evaluation process. The installment looks at the exact topping and numerical grading systems used in personnel evaluation. Part one covered how sticking to the positional prototypes leads to good team building. And this goes on to talk about you're trying to prevent busts. Okay. That's basically what it's saying. So it says, for example, every time I hear Barry Sanders' name, I think of the letter C because he was a great player and the system allowed you to draft great players even high if, as in Barry's case, they didn't have prototypical height. He was an exception, and Darrell Green was an exception. You guys remember Darrell Green, the fastest guy in the NFL forever, right?
Yep.
Played for a long time too. But they were great players. The system allowed you to do that. You're trying to cut down your margin for error, right? Blah, blah, blah. Here's the scale. This is how NFL teams grade these players, okay? This is not how I do my draft board. I just do a ranking system. I got a ranking system of people in the draft community that I trust, right? That's the way I roll. So grade a 9 to a 9.9, okay? Offensive skill player only, okay? Immediately dominant Pro Bowl MVP candidate prototype. From 8 to 8.9, all positions immediately dominant Pro Bowl player, top 6 or 7 selection. 7 to 7.9. All positions immediate first-year starter, first-round selection, significant contributor, and solid from day one. 6'4" to 6'9", eventual starter, might need development in first year, must have special teams value, lower first-round or second-round selection. 5'5" to 6'3", will make the roster as a backup with vision of a specific role, kind of a role player type. Contributor on special teams, round 3 through 7. 5'5", minimum grade to make the team. 4.0 to 5'4", undraftable player based on college performance. Scan hard for prototype traits to possibly develop. Free agent or practice squad. 3.0, 3.9, one redeemable feature only. He is big, fast, or tough. And then 2.0 is where I would fall into the category. He's a reject. Okay, that's the way that works. So, listen, this was kind of a little outdated from Bill Parcells. If you look at the way Michael Lombardi sets the draft scale, I think it runs up to a 7-9 now, something like that. If I remember correctly. The 33rd team had a draft board. Let's see if they still got it here. They may still have it up. The big board mock draft. Maybe it was the big board. Let's see here real quick. Probably not going to have it here. They actually had the grades on the big board. See, yeah, they don't have the actual board. They had a draft board during the draft, and we showcased it a lot. Let's close this out because they don't have it now. And it actually showed the grades. You remember, Emilio? We had one printed off, didn't we?
Yeah.
30-team draft board. You got one?
Oh, yeah.
I've got it saved somewhere, but I had it in a paper copy. It's probably over here on the table.
Give me 1 sec.
You're good, man. You're good. So essentially what they had was the actual grades. So they had them ranked like 8 to 9 or whatever it was, right? And then 7 to 8. And they had them, into different tiers. So with what Drew's saying here, right, I really don't think the Packers grade them out by rounds. It's more by tier. Spot on, right? Now, here's the thing. If you look at those players and how they're ranked, you can go top 32, that's first-round talent, right? 32 to 64, there's your second-round talents. You can look at it that way too, right? So it's kind of tongue-in-cheek in that regard. So hopefully that makes sense. But, yeah.
I found one of them, but, yeah, it was like Monk was in the 5.7 category on yours.
Got it. So you see that. So that's the second page, right? So that's
So second or third page, I think.
Pull it up a little bit closer. If you look to the far left of the screen, I think it's on. Go back the other way. You'll see. You can't see it. There's actually a grade right there, and that whole section that's separated, it actually has that grade listed. Like that big section in the middle there, Emilio. What's the grade on those?
That's
guys?
a 5.7.
There you go. So that's
a 5.6, and Monk was in this 5.7 category. So Monk was in this middle 5.7 category here.
Gotcha. So, and again, what's Monk been? Right? He's been this dude. He hasn't. I don't think he's played. Has he played a snap this year? I don't think he's played a snap.
I think didn't he go in at center?
He may have went in the time or two.
Look. Let me look real quick.
You see, they're looking at this guy. That they're looking at Monk is like this is a future developmental player. But there's a reason they would not dare put him on the practice squad.
No, he was only on. He's only been on special teams.
There you go. Got it. So good deal. All right, we went over, but I just wanted to kind of highlight that. I love the question that Drew asked there, or just the comment he mentioned. It's so true to understand how they look at this. But again, you can break it out into like certain rounds. But I think what Drew's saying, you correct me if I'm wrong, Drew, what he's saying is they don't look at, oh, nope, we can't take him here because he's a second-round pick, right? It's best players available as you get to that point. Is it a position of need? All right, do you have a cluster of players? If you got a cluster of players, okay, what is the most position of need within that group? Also, what Goody likes to do is trade back. If you got multiple players in that tier, let's trade back. Chances are one of those 3 players will be there. One of those 5 players will be there when we pick again. And you pick up an extra pick to potentially trade back up a little later. So there you go. All right. Anything else, fellas? Anything at all?
We got our winner in the chat.
My man. Matrix, we have not heard from the other 2 people. Let's give it till tomorrow morning. If I haven't heard from them, we'll get your mailing address wherever you'd like that sent to, and we'll get the Lucas Van Ness jersey sent out. So if we don't hear from Greg in Green Bay or our other boy, what was the name again? You get was it
Lyrical Killer Clayton?
Emilio's favorite artist. Yeah,
on tour right now. That's why he's missing us.
Yeah. So he's going to pop up when the tour ends and be like, "Hey, where's my jersey? Sorry, bro." You got it. But that's it, guys. We're going to get out of here. Anything else, fellas? We good?
We're good. Go.
Yeah, I think we're good.
All right, fellas, ladies and gentlemen, we will see y'all tomorrow. Good morning, Lambeau at 8:30 Central Time in the morning, we'll start to really dive into the Saints matchup, as tomorrow's Friday, right? Yeah. So what we'll probably do is, maybe if we do an evening show, we'll do it a little earlier than usual, because Notre Dame plays tomorrow in the playoffs. I'd like to go out and grab a daddy soda and some wings, and hopefully don't see them get boat raced by Indiana. Of course, that would probably be what would happen. So
Playoffs?
with that being said, we'll see y'all first thing in the morning for Good Morning Lambeau. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world, and go back.
And we go.
Bye, guys.